Dear America, I would like to share some insight to anyone who is interested. Now, what we're going to talk about is money. If talking about money bores you, then this is probably not your spot. But if you want to fulfill your financial goals over your lifetime, I think a lot of us, myself included, need to retrain our minds for money because, we learn in school what money is, but not so much how to use it as a tool. The financial institutions have been using money against us to profit for themselves for as long as they've existed. Ironically, the technology that exists today, being with everything you can do on your phone, from opening a bank account, opening an investment account, um, transferring money in and out, like all these things are so easily now and they're readily available for any eligible person in the country, meaning, anyone, unfortunately, anyone legally in the country, citizens or otherwise, can get bank accounts and investment accounts. Hold on, I need some coffee. All right, put all that aside. So let's let's imagine a scenario where uh, if you double a dollar 10 times, right? Like one to two, two to four, four to eight, and so on. Um, After 10 doubles, that's $1,024. Okay. Now that's not hard to do with $1. The bigger the dollar amount, the harder it is to do, but it's still possible. And so let's think of it. Let's think of your life from start to finish, right? And the different eras you have in your life. We have like our infancy, childhood. Um, then we got like elementary school, junior high, high school. From there, maybe college, or maybe work, or maybe nothing. Hopefully by then you decide to, become a productive citizen. Nonetheless, we go through a lot of phases in our life, and then, so we go through our youth, and then, we become adults, and now, we're in the work world, the family life, probably, um, and we make a lot of sacrifices, and change a lot of plans once a family begins. And that's not necessarily a roadblock or a detour as we all think when it comes to our financial situation. You know, um, I think I've discovered a way, that literally everyone in America could be well off if they change their minds and become I can't think of the word right now. Let's call it diligent. And we have to be disciplined if we want to get there. Just for fun, I asked Google, what does a millionaire have that most people don't? And the answer was basically what sorry, what millionaires, not billionaires. I asked millionaires. Um, Anyhow, what millionaires have that most people don't is money that reproduces more money, right? They might have a business, or they might have investments, or whatever, that they've got money that's making money. What they don't tell you is you don't need a lot of money to start making money. You just need some money to start making money, right? And effort. That seems to be where a lot of us in America, and I'm not pointing fingers because I'm one of them. I've done it. I'm that guy. I've sat on my hands, knowing with the knowledge, and sat on my hands and didn't do anything. But you know what? I want a better country for my family and my kids and my grandkids, and I would love to see it. Where the country could be united and most people if not everybody, financially secured and stable in their finances and their housing. That'd be great. And one way we can do it and provide that for our kids is by changing our mind about money, how we use it, and like realize, like, for your child, if you invest $1 and over their lifetime, we'll just say the eras between birth and retirement. Now, let's call it 60 years. That's plenty of time to double a dollar 10 times, right? I mean, now what if it was $1,000 that you doubled 10 times? That's going to be like a million. It's over a million, barely, but still over a million. So, like, why aren't Americans doing it? And a lot of it, I think, is the fear of loss or the fear of failure. Or maybe they just don't think they have the time to study for investing. And it's like, the fact of the matter is, there's an infinite amount of ways to double a dollar. Okay? Now, you can do it the long way in the stock market. You can do it the faster way by starting a business that produces income. You could resell, you could invent, you could find many things because the technology exists that basically, if you could think of it, you could find it now. Just ask your phone. Anyhow, so I've come up with some ideas to help eliminate people's worries about financial loss or lack of knowledge. You know, follow for basically, I don't want to call it a whole course, but you know, follow. And we're going to talk a lot about ways where you could literally fund your retirement and be very extremely well off. And all it takes is a little effort. And I could show you how to do this without spending any extra money or tucking away any extra money. Now, once you have that mentality in your life, you're going to find that you have more money than you think you do, that you have more buying power, you have more saving power. The problem is the system isn't really put in place to make it easy, so we have to do it manually. Okay? So, what it takes to do things manually is first, we need the tools that the rich people have. Like, hey, income, right? That's where we're going to start because we need our jobs. We got to pay our bills and our rent and our mortgages and our kids' educations and gas prices. Yikes. Anyhow, so we need some kind of income, right? Now, once you have a job, like Google says somewhere around upper 90% of American adults have bank accounts of some sort, right? Okay, so we're off to a great start on that department. We all have the basic financial tool, a bank account. Okay, next, we're all entitled to this, is an investment account. Okay, as long as we can prove our identities and citizen or legal, citizenship or residency, we can open an investment account. So, now you have a bank account, you have an investment account, you have an income. Okay, these are three major major tools that we're all going to need to fulfill this. All right. Now, how are we going to fund it? All right. This is going to be a little bit of work, okay? But it's leisure time work. You can do this while you're sitting on the toilet taking a crap. Just bring your phone with you and you know your own information. All right. So let's start by this. I'm gonna tell you this, and you could believe me or don't, whatever. But um, your bank is not loyal to you. It may seem like it. You might get great customer service. You might get great features with your accounts. But let me tell you something. They're gonna give you the minimum and charge you the maximum as often as they can. All right. Now, every time you swipe your debit card, they get a cut, and they get it. From the retailers gotta pay them a cut every time you swipe your card. Right. Same thing goes for your credit cards, which might even cost the retailer more to accept credit cards because payment processors get a cut, Visa and MasterCard get a cut, Discover, Amex, they all get their cuts. Every transaction made with their logo, they get a cut. Then the banks get theirs, and so on and so forth. So let's just say it's you don't have to be loyal to your bank if you don't want to. But here's the story. You can open a new bank account and just add direct deposit, and that bank, after you fulfilled a few terms, might send you up to two, three, sometimes up to $500 just for fulfilling a few requirements, like opening a new account and having like $500 or $1,000 a month in direct deposits, right? That's something we're already doing. It just, it might be a little inconvenient to change banks. Hell, you don't even have to cancel your old bank. You could just do this for this purpose only, you know? Keep your old bank. Nevertheless, okay, so now, let's just say you open a checking account and you get a $200 bonus. Now, that $200 bonus, like, the bank reports it as interest, essentially, So now you've got a $200 return on investment for just opening an account. That's your whole investment, just opening an account and signing up for direct deposit and doing the rest of your life as normal from there. Okay, so you get a $200 bonus. Now you have $200 that you could fund your trading account with. Okay? So there's your startup for your trading account. You did a little bit of effort. You got a hefty reward for it. And you got yourself another tool that you'll need to retire a millionaire. Okay. Now, the next step. there's websites, there's companies around on the internet where you could say, for example, you go to Red Robin like once a month with your wife on date night or your husband on date night, right? And this, it's planned. You guys schedule this every third Sunday of the month. Okay, and that costs you like, let's call it like $60 if you guys have a good meal and a drink or something. All right, so you spend $60 a month at Red Robin. So go to we'll call it a gift card exchange. Now you can buy a $60 gift card probably for like anywhere between like 30 and $50. Maybe more, maybe less. But nonetheless, you can get a bigger dollar amount for a smaller cost and, spend that at Red Robin. So if you always spend $60 at Red Robin, but now you're paying only $50 for it, That's an extra $10 you can invest. Why not ship it into your investment account? All right. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, like, well, I don't know how to invest. You know what? Right now, it doesn't matter. None of that matters because you're going to be in what's called like a accumulation stage, right? Because when you're ready to buy into a company that you like, then we'll get to that later. For now, we're just trying to acquire seed money. All right. So now we've got $210. We've opened a bank account, got a $200 bonus, invested that $200 bonus into this trading account to fund that. Right now, you can start buying stocks and selling stocks if you want to be a day trader or an investor. Right now, I think, at the beginning, you should be an investor, accumulate some money, and then once you have some, then start letting your money make money for you. And we'll talk about some ways to do that. But that's later on. That's at the that's near graduation of this class. Anyways, so imagine like everything you do in a day, right? So a normal household, the parents wake up, they get the kids ready for school, then they feed them, they send them off to school, they go to work, they, this everyday routine, right? So think of all the individual, like tiny individual things you do in a day, right? So you wake up, you turn off your alarm, okay? Well, you bought that alarm somewhere, right? You crawled out of bed. Boom, you bought that bed somewhere, right? You threw off the blankets and sheets. Well, you bought those blankets and sheets somewhere, right? Imagine if all of those little things you did and touched just to wake up were earning you money. Even if it's just cents, right? Because one of the things that said millionaires had was, you know, uh, residual like income and multiple revenue streams. So let's just think if you had gotten $1 back for your sheets, your bed sheets, your bed sheets could be worth, $1,000 had you invested that dollar. Who knows? Cat, what do you want? What do you want, kitty? Look at my ashy poo. Look at him. He's so cute. He's so cute. So needy right now. He wants to play. But daddy's talking. Go away, kitty. All right. Anyways, really. So, back to the business at hand.